Hello, welcome to Untapped Libraries, the podcast where people tell us way too much about their favorite pile of magic cards. I'm the host whose parents named him Neil.
I'm the host whose parents didn't name him Vinny, but that's what I go by.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh.
That's okay. I don't mind. It's not my actual name, but it's what everyone calls me.
It's your actual name.
Well, okay, yes. It's my last name is Vincent, and so everybody since high school has called me Vinny.
Oh, you're doxing yourself here.
Yeah, I'm doxed. That's it. You know where I live.
I wanted to talk a little bit about my current magic project. We don't tend to talk about
true.
own stuff that much.
I want to hear about what you got cooking.
So I've been really inspired by a few things that I saw at Commander Sealed, including our guest who's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I have been inspired to make a... okay, so hold on. A little bit of background.
Go back.
So the main way that I spend time with magic is painting. So I have a few commander decks. Now I have 3 that are completely painted or secret layers. For a long time, I've really wanted to have a vest deck.
Mm-hmm. Meaning sleeveless.
Sleeveless, yeah. I've tried a couple times. It hasn't really come together. So what I've decided to do is do a completely altered sleeveless deck. So I'm doing a Rakdos Magar of the Magic Strings, lowish budget, and I am altering all the cards with Sharpies, trying to give it like a punk aesthetic. It's been really fun. Scribbling with Sharpie is a lot less time intensive than perfectly matching colors and textures.
Paints, right.
It's been a really fun little project. I just wanted to mention it. I'm maybe 12 cards in.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Like, why Sharpies?
So if I do it with paint, when I shuffle, the paint is going to all chip off.
Because it's in an unsleeved deck.
Because it's unsleeved.
The friction will remove the paint. I see.
So I'm specifically looking for cards in my collection that are a little bit damaged or a little dinged or something like that. I'm trying to give it a kind of a Rakdos aesthetic too. So if there's like a, for lack of a better term, like a yellow burst of magic swoosh, I will like go over it with a red Sharpie and turn it into like a Rakdos spell.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, this is my little project. I just wanted to mention it really
Do you
briefly.
have like fine markers and thick markers, or you just go on like big black strokes with like a thick marker?
I think I bought probably like 25 different markers so far.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying all kinds of different colors. I've bought these like multi-packs that have, 12 colors in it, and I'm just trying different things on every card. I'm trying to make it a little chaotic. So different techniques, color applied in different ways on different cards.
What about foil? Like, will the markers stay on a foil card or no foils? Or
Foils don't seem to work as well. The ink sort of beads up.
Yeah, it won't absorb, right?
Yeah, but it kind of gives it a different aesthetic. So it looks a little rougher, but I'm still trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of differences in card printing. So every once in a while, there's a card and it's not visually super different, but you can see like as soon as you apply something, it's like there's a waxy coating to it.
Okay. Not even in a foil card, just in a regular card.
Yeah.
And they'll probably come from a different factory and they have different coatings. And
exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
There's a lot more variety in that regard than I expected.
Yeah. You ever think about like stripping the cards in some way or just roll with it?
Yeah. I played with a few techniques. You can use nail polish remover on a Q-tip.
Okay.
And you can remove literally all the ink. I have a few cards that I tried out where I would take like a Surge foil, a not expensive card, and just remove every bit of ink on the surface.
Okay.
And you end up with just this super shiny
surface
rectangle.
Okay.
Yeah.
With nothing on it.
Nothing on it. Yeah.
Okay.
I've also played around with selectively removing some of the paint. So I'll try to remove, say, like the borders, but keep the artwork intact.
Okay.
I have a Flusterstorm that I completely demolished. You can barely read the name and the casting cost. And there's just like a little smear of the art left over. And everything else has been completely obliterated. Yeah, I'm damaging the cards, but it's fun.
Cool. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, anyways.
I haven't seen any of these cards yet.
One of the reasons why I brought this up was our guest.
Yes.
Who famously has a deck of extremely damaged cards.
Probably the most famous deck of damaged cards.
Our guest this week is DJ from the podcast Brainstorm Brewery and cardgarden.com. DJ, come to the show.
Come on down. Yeah, come on down.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, this is fun. It's always nice to hear that I have inspired others to
Mm-hmm.
create something that brings joy to
To
them.
destroy cards.
We met in Commander Sealed at Rochester a few weeks ago, which is a lovely charity event that happens every year. I had the privilege of being the Magic singles vendor this year,
Mm-hmm.
hoping to do it again next year, raise a bunch of money for some good causes. It was nice to meet you then and hear your stories about what this silly little project of mine that I started almost 10 years ago now has really become.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as I forget who saw for, I think it might have been you, Neil, who came across the Ristic Studies video
Hmm.
about the deck and then immediately sent it to me. And that kind of almost was a part of the genesis of this podcast of just like talking to people who have great creative takes and interesting takes on magic creations, whatever form that takes.
This was one of those sort of formative decks that we discussed at the
At the outset of this
yeah,
podcast.
we were like, oh, like that Gonti deck from the Ristic Studies video. That would be
Yeah, it has
like
such a great
that would be
story.
like a dream guest. And then so I went to your
Yes.
booth to buy singles, and the thing that I always do is I always look for damaged cards. So I like to paint on cards. I don't usually care if they're scuffed up because I paint over them anyways. So I asked for damaged cards, and you said, "Oh, you would probably like this Gonti deck," and you pulled
Yeah.
out this like baggie with this like
Elastic
cards with an
around it.
elastic, put it on the table, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, is this the Gonti deck?" on
We
our
both
show?
had the same reaction.
I have definitely gotten to do the Obi-Wan Kenobi meme of course I know him, he's me. I've
Mm.
gotten to do that a few times at events where people have just while I travel a lot to conventions, buying and selling cards. This is my full-time job. And I've had people sit down and say, "Oh, have you heard about this?" Yeah, yes, I
Mm.
have actually. It's in my backpack right now. Would you like to see it? So that's always
That's
fun.
a great
And
throw.
I've
I like that.
heard many a story of people who have found their own creative spin on it.
Mm.
One of them was a Ragavan deck that had been bedazzled.
Like
And if
glitterized.
you're under the age of, I don't know what, like 25 maybe, you may not know what bedazzling is. How do you describe it? It's a
It's like a little gun
effectively,
that applies
yeah, it's like a
rhinestones to
sticker
it.
gun,
Yeah.
but you apply little sparkly plastic jewels to
Yeah.
things. You do it to your shoes in middle school or your lunchbox. It's that kind of thing. I saw somebody who bedazzled their Ragavan.
I have a pitch. So you make a Ragavan deck, and you carry the Bedazzler gun in your deck box.
Okay.
And every time Ragavan does damage to an opponent to make a treasure,
You
you go
bedazzle.
chunk, and you add an extra dazzle.
That might have been their game.
Okay,
Right,
okay.
right.
I didn't really get to go into an in-depth conversation with them because I was working a very busy event, but it was really nice to see. That might have been the plan, actually. I don't know for sure.
That's pretty good. So let me rewind a little bit, just for
Yeah.
people who don't know the story behind this deck or haven't seen the Ristic Studies video. So the Ristic Studies made a video about your deck where the commander is Gonti, Lord of Luxury. Really quickly, Gonti, Lord of Luxury, he's black 2, legendary creature, Etherborn Rogue, Death Touch 2/3, and when he enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of opponent's library, exile one of them face down, put the rest on the bottom, and then you can cast that card for as long as it remains exiled when mana of any type can be spent to cast it. So you're kind of like stealing things from the top of other people's decks. But what the video highlights is that this deck is made from cards, like an amazing set of cards, like normally would be quite pricey, but all of these cards are damaged in like kind of amazing ways. Like some of them are just a regular, like a damaged card that's seen a lot of wear and tear, and some of them have like been folded in half or had things written on them. And each card tells a little story. And what Ristic Studies video kind of highlights is that sometimes as Magic players, we can get caught up in like the prestige of the cards or the carryings, like everything is triple sleeved and pristine, and it's not so much about playing, but sometimes it's about the bling, sometimes it's about the value of the collection, the value of the deck, and the irony of using Lord of Luxury to use this very beat up deck that is unsleeved, has an elastic around it, is carried around in a plastic baggie. I think there's a nostalgia for a more innocent time when everyone played with their cards unsleeved on the cement of their
Yes.
playground and like completely
Yes.
got graveled and cut up, and no one cared about like quote unquote the value of the cards, and the value of the card was the games that you played. So it touches a nerve with a lot of people that like, yeah, that is like a more pure in some ways way to approach the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So the background on the story is, like I said, I'm a card vendor. I try to have a relatively deep inventory of cool things that people can buy from me or trade into. And a very long time ago, used to play Legacy lands. So I was a competitive Magic player for a brief stint, and my Legacy deck of choice in 2011, 2010-ish was lands, which at the time was a control deck where you would eventually grind out your opponent with repeated wastelands and creeping tar
Mm.
pits and Rishadan ports. Nowadays, it is a dark depths kill you, or they have some crazy new combo with aftermath analyst. I don't know. But back in my day, Shake's Fist, it was a control deck, and it was a very expensive control deck because it played the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale, which at the time was like, oh my god, like $300. Wow. It was just something that I played competitively, and as I shifted out of competitive Magic and into Commander, I wanted a lands deck in Commander, so I found Child of Alara. And Child of Alara, I decided to go all out and, like you said, make it super fancy, expedition everything, foil out everything, get the coolest version of everything. And the deck was quite expensive, but I also didn't get to play it enough to justify its expensiveness. And this was a time when I was trying to grow and scale my business, expand my inventory. And I thought, man, I play this deck once a month, if that. So the math on this does not check out for me to just have all these cards and sleeves when I have sometimes people asking me for these exact cards in my inventory. So I took the deck apart, split it up, added it to inventory, and I thought, you know what? If I'm going to replace this deck, I'm going to give myself a set of rules because Mark Rosewater famously says restrictions breed creativity. Somebody said that before him, I'm sure. And so the rules were I had to build the deck out of my own inventory, but I had to use cards that were the worst condition possible, and I wanted to make it mono black Gonti because this is right after Gonti came out, and I thought he was a cool creature concept of stealing your opponent's cards. And the first few cards that I added to the deck were a damaged Panharmonicon, a damaged Erratic Portal, and I want to say some other mono black card that was from around the era, like maybe a Cabal. I think it was a Cabal Coffers. And so it was very heavily mono black, enter the battlefield themed already with the base level of the cards.
The name is perfect too. Lord of Luxury for a deck that's beat up.
Yeah, that was not in the original design, though. It was not like, oh, let's make this ironic deck that is completely destroyed. It was just, oh, I'm going to build a deck out of my own inventory with some worse than wear cards. If the worst condition one I have is lightly played, I'll just use that. I have the worst condition card in my inventory at the time. And so I build it, I sleeve it up. This deck was sleeved at one point, yes. And I was using like regular Zendikar full art lands just because I had some moderately played versions of those. And eventually I came to the realization, you know what, it'd be kind of funny if I de-sleeve this deck because all the cards are pretty beat up, and I don't care if a moderately played Panharmonicon goes to heavily played. That's 20 cents, whatever. I don't care. And so I de-sleeved the deck eventually and continued to play it. It was a lot of fun, really enjoyed the gameplay loops, and the added value of de-sleeving with Gonti is it makes it really easy to tell whose cards are whose at the end of the game. My cards are not sleeved, yours are. I have this pile of things. There's no risk of me shuffling up your Soul Ring into my deck or whatever. So that was an added benefit of like me holding cards in my hand that I'd stolen from Gonti that are air quotes in my hand or exile or whatever. And yep, you can see the DJ has 3 cards that he has stolen from other people, and then 2 other cards in his hand that are regular cards in his hand. Then I don't remember what the trigger was, but there was a slippery slope at some point of it would be fun if every card in this deck was original printing. I didn't want to play foils because there were several cards in the deck that couldn't be foil, and I didn't want to have 98% of the deck be foil. But original printing was just a good way for me to make the deck cooler, and also I think increase the odds of me finding cards that fit the theme of the deck being very well worn. And so I, as a Magic vendor, I have the privilege of traveling a lot to all these events, and so it definitely added a spark to my experience and just my connection to the game, because as vendors we do get desensitized to the value of things sometimes. Like I can't tell you how many Black Lotuses or pieces of Power 9 I have bought at events. I can't tell you the sheer dollar value I have spent just on collections as a whole, and just, oh yeah, it's just another Underground Sea whatever, whereas this card could be a crown jewel for somebody else. And so shifting my paradigm to this hunt for things that are damaged, like Sam says in the Ristic Studies video, really makes it so that it's like something you can't buy.
Mhm.
It's you can filter on TCG Player for like, oh, heavily played or damaged cards, sure, but you don't know what that means until you get it.
Mhm.
And it gives me something to be happy about when I flip through somebody's binder. I remember one of the most memorable cards adding to the deck was Hedonist's Trove, and 20 points to anybody who's listening to this who knows what that card does.
I don't even know where in the deck to look. Is it in the current deck list? Because I don't even.
It is in the current deck list. It's one of those cards where I'm not taking it out no matter how much it's power crept. It is a bulk rare from Dragons of Tarkir. It is a 7-mana enchantment that says when it enters the battlefield, you exile all cards in target player's graveyard. So you just Bazooka Bog them for 7 mana, which is a lot.
Mhm.
And then the rest of the card text reads, you can play cards from this pile.
Okay.
It doesn't allow you to spend mana of any color like all the fancy new things do that steal your opponent's cards. Nowadays, it's, oh, you can whatever color mana you want, even if you're monocolorless. So with this card, you do have to have alternate mana sources. So you start by playing their lands and then other spells that you've taken from this pile. And it just really gives you this massive pile of wealth of stolen goods that fits with the theme. And so I was flipping through somebody's binder, buying collections at some event that couldn't even tell you the city. And I get to this Hedonist Trove and they say, oh, you don't want that. It's damaged. And I get the privilege of saying, oh, no, you don't understand. I need this because I can't add just any Hedonist Trove. I think I had one in the deck already, but it was lightly played, moderately played, not to my satisfaction.
Right.
And so this one was very damaged. And I got to share the story with them one of the first times I sort of spilled the beans on this project and eventually grew it. So I do have all alpha swamps. I have alpha demonic tutor, soul ring that I've acquired just over the years. Several of these 7 years ago when they were more affordable. Just adds so much character to most of the cards that I find. One of the other stories before I end this little ramble is my wife wanted to get me cards for the deck. And one of the last cards I needed before everything was original print was a Toxic Deluge. I had an Eternal Masters version of the card, which is the reprinted one. And the original print of this card is actually in a Commander deck, Commander 2013. She filters for heavily played, buys me a Toxic Deluge on TCG Player. It arrives. She gives it to me for whatever holiday or celebration we were doing at the time. And the card is not very damaged. It is probably like lightly played at worst.
Okay.
I've actually had this problem where I buy cards that are damaged and they come and I'm like, what? Where? There's like a little scuff, I guess, but
Damaged is a lot.
yeah, damage is a big word.
Yeah, and so she was upset and was ready to message the seller complaining that her card was not damaged enough, and I had to stop her because as somebody who is in this industry as a living, if I received that message, I would probably have a stroke.
Yeah.
So no, like you can't complain that your card was better than expected. That is not how this works. You just have to accept that you got a better than expected card.
I love the idea of upgrading a deck to a card that's worth less.
Right.
It's such a great little concept. What's the newest card in the deck in terms of printing? All these cards seem like they've been around for quite a while.
Yeah, that's a great question. Recently, the deck has had very, very, very few, if any, updates, I think, since COVID.
Fair.
Very few cards have actually made it to the finalized version of the deck since they've done the, I suppose, like I would call it a paradigm shift of just how Wizards prints cards. The collector booster era, all these other things have had an impact on just how many damaged cards I see in the day-to-day. The deck has kind of approached completion in air quotes. There's a lot of cards I would like to add to the deck, but I don't expect to find a ruined opposition agent anytime soon unless somebody leaves it out in the snow, which like could happen. I would still be very happy if I found one.
Yeah.
I am at peace with most of the deck just being a finished piece of artwork, with the one exception. I did recently come across this is a interesting debate for the rules of the deck. I found an Arvinox the Mind Flail that is damaged in a collection.
The Stranger Things, what do they call it?
Yes, it is the Universes Within version of the Stranger Things nightmare boss monster creature.
Mind
So
Flayer.
the original printing of the card technically only comes in foil, and the back of that card is upside down with its theming of just
Being
a gimmick
in the
within
upside down, right.
That's
correct. If I were to play a original printing, I couldn't even tell you the Stranger Things creature name, but if I were to play that one, it would number one be the only foil in the deck, and number two, being upside down on the back of it actually hurts the fact that I can see the card upside down.
Right.
Like it is not
Oh, I see. You'd have to.
structurally congruent with the back of a Magic card. So Avernox is the universes within one. So it's technically not the original printing of this rules text, but also it's the non-foil version. So I'm fine playing it in the deck, and it's also, of course, very thematically appropriate because it's only a creature when you have 3 stolen goods in play, and it steals things at every turn, and it does all the things. So that is the most recent card, is an Avernox the Mind Flail. But prior to that, I couldn't even tell you the last card that made it into the final cut of the deck. I've had some cards go into the air quotes sideboard, which is just effectively a nearly 100 card pile of other uniquely damaged cards that have found their way into my inventory. Sometimes I have switched out cards from that pile into the main deck to adjust the power level, which is another reason I picked Gonti, because Gonti scales to the power level of the table. If I am playing against precons, Gonti is only stealing precon able goods.
Right.
But if you are ready to game and brought your bracket 4 things, then Gonti is going to be stealing
Good
very
stuff.
powerful
Yeah.
things like expropriates and game changer cards and smothering tide. That is another reason I wanted the deck to scale to the power level of the table. And this giant sideboard pile that you see on the Moxfield list here of 88 cards, probably more now, is definitely like the gear shifter where I can say, oh, we're playing against newer players here. We're going to cut Demonic Tutor and add Increasing Ambition. Or we're cutting Grim Monolith and adding some 8-mana artifact that just does silly things.
And so this is 0% the point of this deck, or like what's interesting about it, but like how does it play? Like what does it do? And it sounds like you play Gonti, but you have a bunch of stuff that's just stealing other people's stuff and playing it.
Yeah, the intended goal is to just kind of do what your deck is doing, but better with the resources that Mono Black has available. Things like Cryptghast and Cabal Coffers and Lake of the Dead, just doing big mana things. A lot of reanimation-y, flickery things with Geth, Lord of the Vault, Grey Merchant of Asphodel, Massacre Worm, a lot of flicker and enter the battlefield triggers. Abhorrent Overlord is a really neat little MVP that doesn't get a lot of attention. It is another black devotion-based thing, but it makes a 1/1 flying harpy for each devotion you have, which goes infinite with Phyrexian Altar or Ashnod's Altar quite often, where you can just loop this creature and sacrifice 8 tokens for 8 mana and then bring it back somehow with Nizumi Grave Robber or something to that effect. Just looping over and over and over your end of the battlefield triggers. I would say most games with this deck end with Grey Merchant of Asphodel triggers, or like I've Gonti to Splinter Twin combo before. I've Gonti to infinite combos from 2 other people's decks. So just sort of like fuse, oh, your thing plus your thing equals combo. I think that's the gimmick, is do what you do better, but also just pretty core mono black stuff with tutors and Torment of Hailfire. Of course, you're sacrificing everything to Ashnod's Altar, then firing off a big Torment to Hailfire.
Right, and you can use your Abhorrent Overlord to make a bunch of tokens, sack them for mana. I could definitely see how those could all go together. Have you ever secretly damaged a card to put in this deck? You're like, oh, I'd love to put this card in the deck.
It's not damaged enough.
I'm just gonna
What if I tape it
ask
to my
the
wheel?
dog to chew on it, and
I have not. That is the golden rule. I have had many people come up and joke about that. Artificially damaging cards is not on the list. I have had several people donate cards that did get damaged.
that seems allowed.
Yeah, the Arcane Signet entered the deck, and that's another relatively recent card within the past 5 years or so, because it was being played at a Brawl Precon event at a friend's house in Oklahoma, and he spilled beer on his game board. And so the Arcane Signet is beer damaged, and then he signed it and mailed it to me.
And just having looked at it, like you have a variety of different types of damage, right? And so
Yes.
Can you walk us through some of the different types of damage these cards have?
I think the most infamous cards in the deck are the Mana Rocks.
Yep.
There is another Magic vendor out there by the name of Dan Bach. He and I have parallel fought this deck into existence. He also has a damaged cards only deck. I think his is a little less well known because he did not get a YouTube video dedicated to his. But it's similarly destroyed as mine. And he used to have a set of Mana Rocks in his deck that he blacked out entirely with Sharpie. So he had Everflowing Chalice, Chrome Mox, Worn Power Stone, Grand Dynamo, a lot of the pre like 2015 Mana Rocks, or their core to gameplay, Mind Stone, that kind of thing. and everything except for the piece of the art that is the rock itself
Yep.
is blacked out. So thought vessel, all these things
Amazing.
just completely sharpied out. And he decided to change his to different sharpied versions that only sharpied everything but the name and mana cost.
Hmm. Oh, so even the art is blacked out.
He might have left the art. I don't remember
Okay.
entirely, but he wanted to at least add more legibility to the cards.
Right.
And so he posted his set of fully sharpied, heavily played, damaged mana rocks on Facebook for sale.
Hmm.
I don't remember exactly what the sticker price was, but I believe it was in the $300 to $500 range. And there's like a Mox Opal and a Mox Diamond in there too, is circa 2018 or something like that. So reasonably expensive cards,
Sure.
but still at a pretty hefty discount. And within 3 minutes, he had probably 5 comments on that Facebook post saying, "You'll never sell these. This is disgusting. This is awful. Like, you're asking way too much money for these based on what they look like." And of course, I just DM'd him and said, "That's fine. I'll buy them."
Hmm.
So then he gets the schadenfreude of commenting sold directly underneath these people. And so those are the mana rocks I have. I have taken a few of them to their original artists and just enjoy the look of confusion and horror. And the thought vessel, I'll post pictures of this deck and they'll be in the description of whatever podcast uploader this is on. So you can take a look at the pictures, or you can find them on my socials and all that stuff. But the thought vessel by RK Post,
Hmm.
I took this one down to him in Memphis, I want to say, and he just looks up at me very confused. I said, "I didn't do it. Not me. I didn't do it. Here is $50. I will be back in 2 days on Sunday. Do whatever you want to the card and I'll be happy with it." And so he did some very, very cool framing with what looks to be a very fine tipped Sharpie. He added some skulls to it. It looks very, very nice.
Nice.
The Mox Diamond got altered by Dan Fraser and signed. To answer your original question, that is one category of damaged cards, is just mana rocks that were sharpied by Dan Bach and then further altered by other people. The Mana Crypt, which I refuse to take out of this deck, fight me,
Nice.
is sharpied by me. So I guess I did lie when you asked, did you artificially damage any cards? The Mana Crypt is the only card I have added damage to. It was already good enough to put in the deck in terms of
Good enough meaning bad,
Bad enough. Yeah.
yes, good enough to my standards that are also in the upside down. And so the Mana Crypt, I added a scoreboard over the artwork in Sharpie. There is a win and loss column, and a lot of people assume that that is the wins and losses I have with the deck. It is not. That is the coin flip record of the Mana Crypt.
Oh, nice. Every single time, if you win, you put a check in the win column, and if you lose, you put a
Correct.
check in the lose column.
And if you look at it, I am very up on this Mana Crypt. I'm also loaned this deck out to people when I'm at events and somebody says, "Hey, can I use the Gonti deck?" If I know and trust them, they can go use it and cause horror and terror elsewhere while I'm working. And the wins-loss column, let me count this. I'm at like 41 wins and 24 losses, something
wow.
like that.
Not bad.
Yeah, so that also speaks to how long it's been since I've actually gotten to play this deck. I also lent this Mana Crypt to a friend to use at Eternal Weekend last year for his Vintage deck.
Hmm.
And so he got a few chuckles when he played this card in Vintage, and then he never actually got to flip the coin because he either won the game immediately with Tinker or just lost before he could do anything with it. Mana Crypt does not stick around for a turn in Vintage, but after he dropped from the event, he did add his own loss column for the event itself.
So cool. There are some expensive cards in here, like the Sol Ring you said. That's an alpha Sol Ring?
Correct. Every version that can be original printing is.
Right.
So the Soul Ring, Demonic Tutor, Animate Dead are alpha. The Mana Crypt is a lot less expensive than it used to be. There's a Grim Monolith I have in here that is signed by Chippy, I believe, which is a quite rare signature to have. The Ulamog's The Ceaseless Hunger was a donation from a friend whose dog got to the card. So it is just full of near puncture marks, and then he tried to flatten it out as best he could.
Amazing. And so what's like the reaction like of someone who like might not know this deck, and then you drop like a completely beat up, unsleeved alpha Sol Ring?
It's usually one of two reactions, and it's either genuine awe or disgust of, "Oh, this is Magic how it used to be. Rock on, man. Fist bump. This is so cool. This is awesome." Or, "Why would you do this? I don't want to touch this. I'm kind of mad at you." Most people who are mad are only jokingly mad of
Right.
like, "I get these are your cards. This is whatever." I have gotten a Reddit comment or two of I would not play against this deck. This is marked cards.
Oh my
Which
gosh.
great, we've solved that.
Yeah.
Thanks. I don't want to play against you anyway. Good.
100%.
We've sorted that.
It's a self-correcting problem there.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple people, one of whom is somebody who I used to know pretty well in real life, who was genuinely mad and annoyed at me because the Mox Diamond, because it's a reserved list cards. Their line was crossed when it comes to damaging reserved list cards that will never be made more of.
Amazing.
You know, I try really hard to not get caught up in the collectability side of things. Like, I don't want to think of things purely as like an object with money value.
Mm-hmm.
But part of me, when I see alpha lands and alpha soul rings, I do have a little part of me that goes like, ooh. I do get that point of view.
Like it belongs in a museum.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's this precious little artifact. You can never get another one. But it is just a piece of cardboard.
It is.
Yeah, and my usual boilerplate response to the people who tell me that at events is, well, the purpose of money is to generate like value and or happiness.
Yeah.
And your reaction to that is generating value for me. So like the decrease in monetary value of the soul ring is generating happiness for me through your action. So it's great. Like it's still working as intended.
Right. There's something about seeing all these cards being just like completely just obliterated and someone enjoying and playing with them. There's something really satisfying about that, of like not treating these toys as commodities and just really being like, I'm going to enjoy these things and not necessarily like put them on a pedestal and preserve them in a way where I'm preventing myself from getting the maximum pleasure out of it. And also things that some people will be like, this belongs in the garbage, even if it's like a 10-cent card or $1,000 card. It's in like such bad shape. It's like, well, no one's gonna want this. And then no, you know what, someone does want that. And there's like a real kind of almost like an underdog. Oh, you're kind of rooting for this damaged card.
One fun little fact about the industry that I work in that is not often talked about is sometimes, as somebody who buys and sells magic cards for a living, you have to destroy cards. Because there are people who are down on their luck who will go through the garbage to try to find magic cards to sell back to you if they are not destroyed.
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
So there's definitely been situations I've been in where somebody has said, hey, I heard you're the guy to buy and sell cards to, and they bring me cards that I know I threw out because they were like bulk tokens. This is somebody who obviously doesn't know magic. They just are in a situation where they have to dumpster dive and find things they think they have value and try to generate money to eat with. And I've had to turn them away multiple times because no, I threw these out. That is not something I can buy here. And so there's a real necessity to like pouring water on cards that you are dumping out to translate that to the other person who is in that situation of, no, this has no value. You should not be doing this with this item.
Right.
Yeah, the delta between like a alpha soul ring and a bulk common is enormous. I mean, I've gotten rid of a lot of bulk and I'm just shocked at how many cards you end up with that really nobody wants.
I've also used the Alpha Soul Ring as a drink coaster, so like I can't. It doesn't intentionally damage it, but I've been in that spot before. There's a picture of me using that Soul Ring as a drink coaster for some Taco Bell plastic cup somewhere.
As the prices of these cards just seem to keep going up, the shock value of it is also going to keep going up. A lot of these cards, maybe, you know, like you said, pre-pandemic, they're valuable, but not like they are today. It's really gone bananas.
Over $1,000 for a collector booster for like, yeah, honestly, so often you're never going to get that money back.
No,
I mean,
no.
You're getting a few $100s worth of cards for $1,500.
If you're lucky, yeah.
And you see what's happening in other TCGs like Pokemon, where it feels like it exists mostly as a collector item and not as a gameplay item. It's a lottery. It's turned into the lottery.
Yes. There's weird benefits to this that are also downside. It's a whole thing that could be dissected in its own podcast forever. A lot of this is the collectors who can afford that are now subsidizing the affordability of the game for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So when they make super ultra cool version of cards, every person who buys one of those is replacing a non super ultra cool version that would have otherwise gone in a deck that is driving the price of that down.
Mm-hmm.
So standard staples being more affordable, things like that, where you are just lowering the barrier to entry through the game by this mass collectability aspect. When only 10 cards in the set are super ultra chase rares, the EV of the product is going to shift to accommodate that when it's being opened like that in a hunt for your Moonbryon or whatever it is, your Surge Foil Sephiroth. And so that means that average everyday Magic players get to buy regular version of Cloud for less and regular version of Sephiroth for less. And it does just trickle down in that way, in spite of that economic term being
Right.
poisoned.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell.
No, the economics of Magic has, and I think that's part of the appeal of this, is that this is a little bit of spitting in the face of the people who play this game for, or at least participate in the game. Maybe they don't even play the game. They buy things for the economics of it and not for the playing of it. And this is like an explicit rejection of that. And I think that appeals to people in a lot of ways.
The deck?
Yeah, your deck.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's funny because I am effectively the face of what they hate a lot of the time too, right? Like my job is the antithesis of what they're like, these are cards, they're not meant to be assets. It's like, well, I put food on my table and feed my family by buying and selling cards. So what do you want from me? Like no ethical consumption, something. Like, this is the industry that I stumbled into. I used to be in grad school for a completely different field, and in my efforts to pay for grad school with Magic cards, I effectively accidentally built a business. And now here we are 10 years later, where my mother-in-law is like, I don't really know what you do, but you don't ask me for money, so it's fine. Like, I'm in this situation because these are commodities and they are widgets that some people treasure. Like, I just recently sold a empty booster box of German Mirage for like $40. Just the cardboard, not like the cards in it, but like, this is a relic of the 90s that somebody had emotional resonance with and was willing to pay me for, because I found the person who had it, and then I found the person who wanted it, and that is my value to society, is this weird middleman for these widgets that people care about.
Yeah. I had this really disheartening experience. There's a flea market here in Montreal that I occasionally just go to. The first time I went, I found a booth. The guy was like, I literally sell Funko Pops for a living, but sometimes people come by with Magic. And he's like, I have this stack of cards. And I opened it up and went through maybe 50 cards, and I found Shockland. And I was like, oh, this is a good sign that it hasn't been picked over. And so I bought it. I went through it. I got some playables. I sold some. I think I almost broke even, but I ended up maybe losing a little bit of money. And I went back again, and he was like, oh, I got something really good for you. I got a bunch of Final Fantasy cards. And I looked through the entire set, and there was absolutely nothing of value. It was just a pile of bulk, absolute trash.
Did this person think there was value because somebody else upsold them on it?
Yeah. So I say, how much do you want for this? And the guy was like, $400. And it was worth maybe 40, maybe, if I'm being like really generous, maybe 50. And someone had come in, basically said, I've got all these Final Fantasy cards, and the guy paid $250 for them. I felt so bad for this Funko Pop dealer. So someone was obviously coming in, taking advantage of him. And then I actually saw the guy who sold the cards, and he said to his face, he was like, I just sold you $600 worth of Magic cards. And I was like, I believe you that they were $600 when you bought the packs, but what's left over is valueless. None of these cards are more than like 25 cents. Everything of value has been stripped of it. I don't know if he ended up selling the cards or not, but I just felt so bad for this Funko Pop guy.
This flea market vendor.
So as a vendor, I think I can trace back kind of what happened. If we're assuming this person is a bad actor and did this intentionally.
I am, yeah.
It's really easy for that person to convince this Funko Pop person that the cards have value when they can look up cards that do have that price tag, right? So if you're looking at Cloud X Soldier, there's a $50 version and a $700 version.
Yeah.
And you can pick which one you want to show him of, oh, hey, see, there's this card. It looks the same. It's this one, right?
Yeah.
And when the collector number is different, the surge foiling obviously is different. All of these things to us Magic players are different. But I had that experience in Vegas too, where I was working the Magic Con. And because it is this Final Fantasy event, there's so many new players. There's so many people who have never touched a Magic card before. And a woman comes up, she puts like 10 cards on my table. I price them out for her. She gets her brows furrowed. She says, no, I wouldn't sell them for that. Never mind. And so I asked the follow-up because I had an inkling where this is going. I said, what's the number you were hoping to get? And she explains it to me. And then I teach her what a collector number is. Because she had a borderless Sephiroth that had a different collector number than the $700 one she thought she had. And thankfully we were amicable and she understood and she had a teachable moment there. But she just came into the space without much knowledge and nobody did explain this to her. And it's really easy to get somebody over on that if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah.
Amazing. This deck feels just like emblematic of a time that we're going through in Magic, where there is a lot of pushback because it does feel like there's a lot of product being sold. Just going through the Final Fantasy collector boxes, just the moment that it's like crossed like $1,000 for a collector box was like, oh, we've really hit a threshold here. This has really shifted into another gear. And I feel like this deck has even more meaning now than it did maybe even a year ago.
Yeah, besides my little Avernox or whatever, there's no Universes Beyond cards in it. It is a very Magic card deck to anybody who is at that age where they have this emotional attachment and idea of what the game used to be compared to what it is now. It is very much that. It's a core representation of what Magic used to be to a lot of people, I think.
It still looks like a really powerful deck, too. It's got a lot of really iconic cards. It's got Vampiric Tutor. It's got Cabal Coffers. It looks like it can still hold its own against...
I think it's a little too slow nowadays compared to 5 years ago. There's so many more fast ways to get started in the game. I think this deck is a couple turns behind on average when it comes to that. If Gonti, Lord of Luxury, were printed today, he'd be, 2 mana and do the same thing? Or like all of these kinds of things. 4 mana, 2/3 Death Touch is a little underrate nowadays. There's certainly commanders I could replace him with, but I refuse. I'm still going to play my Skull Collector that is signed by Thomas Baxa. Because it's Skull Collector and it's one of the first cards that was in the deck and people have to read it, and that's part of it is at the beginning of your upkeep, return a black creature you control to its owner's hand. Why would you want to do that? Well, I want to play my Gonti again for 3 mana with Jet Medallion and then bounce it a bunch.
I feel like there's a grind now. I have maybe a dozen decks, and when a new set comes out, I go through every single spoiler and I look for cards that are in the theme I'm in, cards that are a slight upgrade on a card I already have. And I just feel like it's this grind of constantly looking for cards.
Optimizing.
And I feel like you just skip that entirely with this deck because you're not going to be able to get a brand new Modern Horizons 3 damaged card. So you don't even have to think about it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I do just get to kind of pass on everything that comes out. I get to just say, nope, don't need it for that project. But I do have a different project where that is the opposite of how that works. If you'd like to hear about that.
I'd love to. Yes.
I was just going to ask what you're up to next. Yeah.
I don't remember if I showed you this, Neil, when we were in Rochester, but I say new. I started this project a little over COVID, but because everyone kept telling me to sleeve my cards, sleeve your Gonti deck, etc., my newest project is at the opposite pole of the earth, and that is only cards that are factory sealed.
So they come in the little plastic sleeve?
When if you get like a secret lair, like all the cards are in that plastic. If you get a pre-release promo, it's in a plastic little thingy.
Yep.
This commander deck is Garth One Eye, so it is a 5-color. Now it is a Super Friends deck. Thankfully, I have enough cards where it is a fully viable deck, much to the surprise of many. I will also post the Moxfield list for that one. And it's a thing. It is a real deck that I can play. It is all factory sealed. Almost all of the cards are either pre-release promos or secret layers or other weird ancillary promos that Wizards has come out with over the past few years. It's got fetches, it's got shocks, it's got a soul ring, it's got a command tower, it's got all of the nuts and bolts, it's got a bunch of planeswalkers.
Wait, are there ever extra cards in the pack behind the card? Or they have to be...
Yes.
Okay, so
Okay.
sometimes you're playing 2 or 3 cards, but you just
Yeah,
count the top one.
yeah, and sometimes cards have different backs, so that it'll have like, oh, the back of this card is the token from
Yeah,
Brothers
yeah,
War
yeah.
that you get.
Right.
There's much less uniformity when it comes to the back of these
Sure.
cards most of the time. I'm trying to sort it all out. This one's also pretty optimized, so I can pick and choose and kind of upgrade as I go. For example, a lot of my shock lands recently got swapped out because Edge of Eternities has them.
Right. The pre-release ones.
Yeah, up until recently, I only had access to the Secret Lair non-foil shock lands. I believe they're an artist Secret Lair or something like that, but it's like Hollowed Fountain and 3 other shock lands in the same Secret Lair. So I would just use that as my Hollowed Fountain, and now I have whatever shock land from Edge of Eternities. I have 4 or 5
So
shocks
you'd
from
literally
EOE.
be playing like a stack of 3 shock lands as just one
It
shock
doesn't
land?
increase the thickness as much as the plastic already does.
Right.
So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're not really in a space where it's truly difficult to shuffle. I think the most cards I have had in a sleeve is like 7 or 8, and that was kind of pushing it.
I guess I'm more thinking of the value too of like having
Oh yeah, I mean,
having this card that's basically unplayed.
You need to play 3 shock lands for every shock land.
yes, I was in that spot. I have, what is it? The Elish Norn Secret Lair Praetor was in there for a while. She
Yeah.
recently got cut because there's something else that fits more of the Planeswalker theme.
Right.
But I had the all 5 Praetors of Secret Lair and Phyrexian text. That Elish Norn is on the top of that one.
Were there anything with that deck that you had trouble with? Can you get basic lands?
Basic lands are actually very easy
Oh.
because they were the original Secret Lair bonus cards.
Right.
So you get yeah, okay, that makes sense.
There's a lot. I could do a mono green deck if I wanted to.
Okay.
I have plenty of basics, but the current holy grail that I am searching for, and again, this is kind of the same thing as the Gonti deck, where like I know it's out there, but I can't buy it. That's what adds the joy to it. Is I need a Rhystic Study,
Yeah.
and
Was it reprinted?
points to you if you can think about where it comes from.
It's been reprinted, but it was,
Was it a Wilds of Eldraine had a Rhystic
yeah,
Study?
but that's
Not factory sealed.
that's
though.
not going to be factory
Yeah.
sealed. I think there was at least one Secret Lair version.
It is in the Secret Lair Arcane, but it is not factory sealed in that.
Oh.
Wow.
And also, do you ever run into problems where it was in a stack of cards, but it's not the first one? If it's the third
Yes,
card,
that's,
it's worth.
that's happened quite a few times.
Mm.
There's a few talismans I can't play because of that.
So yeah, I can't think of where it would be.
So Judge Promo Rhystic Study exists from like 2018.
Ooh,
Wow.
And those come sealed.
It's sealed. It's also a pack of 5, so I would need to
Oh my
pay
gosh.
5 times the price of a Judge Foil Rhystic Study. And I have seen one in the wilds, but it was owned by a judge who also had emotional resonance to
Right.
their pack of Rhystic Studies for whatever reason. The past 2 years, I have just sent him a Facebook message once a year saying, I'm still willing to buy this. The card has gone down in price over those years. It was originally a $200 card. I offered him $1,000 because that is the price of 5 Judge Foil Rhystic
Right.
Studies. Nowadays, the card is like, I want to say 140 to 150 or something like
It's,
that. I would still give him.
Almost $210.
Oh, is it up now?
Yeah.
Okay. I would still happily pay
Right.
a premium and be willing to hear what his number is. I'm not going to get completely gouged on it. If
Right.
he says like $3,000, I will happily pass.
Right.
But I would be interested in buying it. He just is not willing to part with it for whatever
Well, we'll
reason.
put this out
So,
into the universe, and maybe someone else will respond.
I've had that happen.
One of the things that's interesting about this deck is it's simultaneously, both of your decks, they're like simultaneously not blingy, but also like ultra blingy in their own way. Like,
Yeah, they are kind of unbuyable.
They're
Like, if you
unique.
gave somebody
They're certainly
$10,000
unique.
to go buy the Gonti deck, like they might be able to kind of replicate it, but it would be like, oh, Star City's definition of a heavily
Yeah,
played
yeah.
whatever. You're not going to get
Right.
cards that are stuck together from like sheer.
I'm going to get
wetness
my
and
Gonti
whatever,
deck
like-
and run it through the washing
Yeah,
machine.
I'm gonna specifically give this one to a dog, and put
And even then, if you run it through the washing machine, all the cards are going to be uniform, right? Like they're all going to have the same
Yeah,
damage.
Yeah.
and some of them have
I
like
have-
vandalism on them, like text written on them too, right? In the Gonti deck.
So the Liliana Dreadhorde General is the reason the YouTube video is named after the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sam's video is called Dear Gonti Love Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
And the Liliana Dreadhorde General was also attacked or well loved by a dog named Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a Twitter DM one time that said, hey, I own this. Would you like to put it in the deck? And I said, yes, I'd love that. He wrote Love Sophie with a heart. And so the Liliana Dreadhorde General is one of the only cards in the deck that is structurally just fully missing a corner.
Yeah.
The Panharmonicon and the Gray Merchant are close to missing corners. They're like very, very folded over and
Right.
close to wearing off. But the Liliana, you cannot tell what that card's mana cost is. That part of the card is gone and long processed.
Have you had a card in this deck that just fell apart and could not be played anymore?
Not yet. The Liliana is close. She will definitely be. I've had parts of that card fall off steadily. It is eroding away, much like a beach in California or Florida or something. But like, the Liliana will probably be the first. If I did play this deck more often, the plan for the Mana Crypt was, DJ, what are you going to do when the Mana Crypt is full of tallies? Well, I'll flip it over and start again. What are you going to do in the front and the back? I'll buy a new one and start again. Like, that was the plan, but I haven't really played the deck to that much because I don't really play Magic much anymore.
Right. Both these projects sound incredibly unique and fun to put together. It's like a little quest.
It's a really nice shot and chaser at an event where somebody's like, somebody damage cards, and then they see the Gonti deck. They're like, that's crazy. And I'm like, here's part 2. And then it's just the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Always blows them away.
I feel like you'd
It's
need
really
like a
fun
container
experience.
to stack the deck so it doesn't fall over.
So the Garth deck lives in a BCW 600 count box.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That is kind of just 2 piles of factory sealed cards. I just loosely pile shuffle it-ish and just kind of try to randomize it the best I can. And then it sits standing up in its box and I just draw from the top of it. So
Oh, I love it.
there's a little bit of structure involved to make sure that it's not just a very tall tower that falls over all the time.
Well, both these decks sound like great theater to me. There's a real showmanship.
Yeah, elevating the idea of what the deck is and what it's trying to do and making it like almost like an art object. I don't know if maybe
sure,
art
yes.
is too big
It's
a
an
word.
experience. They're
Yeah.
experiences. Yeah.
I have enough factory sealed because now I'm also the factory sealed guy, right?
Right,
So
right.
I've had a decent number of people donate or just offer me factory sealed cards, and I'm at the point where it's I don't need it for the deck. The Garth deck is mostly done.
Mm-hmm.
But just in case, I'll take it because it'd be even funnier if I make 2 decks and give them the chance to battle me. Like, that's just where my mind is at. I almost put together a Nadu factory sealed deck because I do have a factory sealed Nadu,
Wow.
and I thought that would be very funny because Shuko doesn't come factory sealed, so that's fine.
Yeah. Well, it's still pretty good.
It's still pretty good, even
I-
without a Shuka.
I made a Nadu deck, played it once, and immediately went home and took it apart. I was like, no, this is silly. And I didn't even have a Shuko or anything like that. I love both these decks.
Yeah, this is great. It's been awesome talking to you, DJ, about both
Yeah.
these
Thank you
projects.
so much.
I do suggest that viewers look up Ristic Study on YouTube and
Yeah.
watch the video.
Dear Gonti, love Sophie.
Yeah, because we're
Just watch his whole playlist, honestly.
Yeah.
Sam is a
Yes.
very dear friend of mine. He is a wonderful human being. He puts incredible video essays together that
yeah.
don't seem to be Magic related at first, but will blow your mind every single time. The opening of his video is like, so this 14th century Italian Renaissance painting, and you're like, well, let's see how this goes to Magic. And he always just does such a beautiful job with every piece of his work.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I think that's it for today. Thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much. You can find me on Brainstorm Brew, which is a podcast I do to make Magic more affordable for people. We've been going over 12 years now. So if you're like, I watched One Piece, this is for you. Like, we are the One Piece of Magic podcast in terms of episode count. I think we're at like 670 something.
Whoa.
Amazing.
Then I am also at cardgarden.com, where you can get bespoke booster packs. We offer a subscription service where if you want damaged cards like this, you can request them. We have a subscription service with varying tiers. It's a monthly pack you get in the mail, and you have a little blurb on your profile that says, I play what formats, I play damaged cards, I play foils, I play non-English cards. You get a little bio to put in roughly 140 characters of what you like about Magic, what kind of strategies you play, aggro control, what brackets you're in, all that kind of stuff.
Can I say, like, I don't like green?
Yeah, you can tailor it. We will customize your pack to what you put in your preferences. And if you don't like it, you can always return it for a different one. We do have a satisfaction guarantee. It's varying tier levels, and it's at cardgarden.com.
That's really cool. I think I might try a non-green damage cards pack because I'm always looking for damage cards.
true.
And they're surprisingly hard to find these days.
Yeah, we have some subscribers who request damage cards. We have some people request misprints or signed cards. We have some people who started Magic post-COVID. They say, I have all the newer stuff, but I've never played Magic in the older days. But we have some people the opposite who's played Magic forever ago, and they're like, I missed all the new stuff. Send me Lord of the Rings cards. So we We have a pretty deep and diverse inventory of what we can offer with this program.
Oh, that's really cool.
A great set. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. We'll run into you again at some point, and best of luck with all your projects.
I will see you next year at Commander Seal, if nothing else.
That's our plan.
And I'm looking forward to see what you do next.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, I would love to see the Gonti deck steal a card out of the factory sealed deck and then play it.
I don't think these have been in the same game together, so yeah, I would also like to see that.
It would be
too.
just really satisfying to see all these damaged cards and a couple packets in the hand.
Amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I love this deck.
All right.
It's great.
Well, that's another episode, Neil. I think that was just a very unique take on what a Magic deck can be, and I really appreciate DJ for putting it all together.
Yep, and we're continuing to do audio about something very visual.
Yes, that's the goal of this podcast, to do the most visually interesting decks
in
an audio-only format. That's
so that you can imagine.
Just whatever you are imagining right now is correct.
Yeah, maybe watch the Ristic City video.
You'll see more. But
almost watch it first and then listen to
we will have the deck up on Moxfield, but I don't think it'll capture really what the deck's about.
No. Yeah, I realize I'm saying this at the end of the podcast. It's the worst possible time.
No, people listen all the way to the end for sure.
Oh, no, but I just said watch the video first.
At the end of our podcast, you've said that to do that.
Literally the worst time to say it.
At least you said it. Maybe they'll stop here, go watch it, and then listen to the rest of the podcast. Where I say, you can find us on Blue Sky and YouTube as Untapped Libraries, as well as Moxfield, where all of our guest deck lists are available. Our music is by Sparkling Water. You can find all of their music wherever you get your streams. Untapped Libraries is a proud part of the Podcavern network found at podcavern.com. If you have any questions, comments, or damaged cards that you love, we can be reached at untappedlibraries@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and keep building.
What's going on? We are Pull the Plug Podcast with myself, Mrs. Godzilla.
And me, Justin G.
Myself, Justin Briner.
And me, Sarah M.
Pull the Plug Podcast, it's a place where music fans, pop culture nerds, and people who love dick jokes come together each week.
A place of worship, if you will.
Check us out at ptppodcast.com for all your dick needs.